from a granular perspective. And we have Mike Adams sharing his insight with you. Over to you, Mike.
Yes, that's a good question. I'm not sure if I've got the top 5 that you should be asking. But one of the critical things that I see that isn't done always that well by sales leaders and sales managers when they interview is asking the questions they really need to be asking to discover whether the candidate is really a good match for the job that they're hiring for. So to take a step back, you've got to get really, really clear on the types of people, the types of skills, attitudes, capability, etc., that you know a candidate needs to possess in order to succeed. And once you've mapped that out, once you've taken that you've gone through that process and you understand that, the questions kind of start to auto-populate. The danger is, and I see this quite a lot, is that the interview questions are quite surface level, they're quite high level still. And so if they get a good vibe from someone and they're asking a lot of the usual questions, what are you looking for, what type of sales job you want to ask, and what's kind of good stuff. If they're personable and there's some kind of rapport that's built, it starts to mask whether or not the person is really truly a good fit or just someone you really kind of get on with. And on paper, it looks like they're probably a good fit. Come and join us. So the trick really is to ask questions in a way that will, without leading the prospect, that will give you the answers to the questions that you've got to have the right answers to. So as an example, I'll give you 2 examples. Let's say, for example, that you're recruiting into a heavily phone-based inside sales role. Does have the ability to go out into the field and go and meet with buyers, but given perhaps that you're selling at a certain pace that you need to get market coverage, or you're selling internationally or interstate or whatever, and the practicality of getting face-to-face with people is probably only 10 to 20% of your selling time. Most of your time is going to be spent perhaps selling at enterprise level to C-suite, but over the phone. Could be all over the region, could be all over Asia, or all across the country. You need to know whether or not your candidate is just going to get absolutely whitewashed by that type of job, or they're going to thrive in that job. But if you tell them, let me give you a question. So the question might be, if you had a choice between sort of being on the phone and constructing sales and doing most of your selling over the phone, or getting face-to-face with people in the boardroom, taking them through a presentation, building relationships, getting out there and meeting people, where do you naturally sort of gravitate towards? Which one is, the environment that you naturally thrive in and that you get the best results in? And you give them the choice, and they'll think about this and they'll come back with their answer, and they might say, you know what? Yeah, I just love getting face-to-face with people. I love being out there meeting people and building that relationship and so forth. And you now know, okay, well, they're gonna really suffer, or they're gonna really struggle in a heavily phone-based role. Now, I didn't say, so here's the interesting thing. The way I asked the question was giving them an option, but not leading them in any direction. So which one do you naturally gravitate towards? And what I see a lot of is this role requires you to be really, really good on the phones. Do you like selling on the phones? The candidate is probably going to say yes. Yeah, I'm great at that. Love it. Yep, no problem. Whereas the reality is it's not what their natural inclination is, but they're going to say they can do it because they need a job, right? So you've got a tick in your box. Great, they're great on the phone. It's fantastic. No digging. You don't go any further depth than that. Great. Phone-based selling. Yep, they can do that. The candidate doesn't necessarily know how much phone selling there might be, and you also don't know whether or not they really thrive in that environment, or they're just sort of saying they can do it because all sales jobs have an element of phone selling anyway. So that's the other. So that's one example: inside versus sort of field sales. The other one, as well, is which is your natural tendency? Do you like to sort of be a hunter, cold calling, winning new business all the time, or do you really thrive in sort of account management? Extracting more value and deals out of existing accounts, building long-term relationships, and sort of hunting sort of pockets of money in existing companies, existing clients. Which one do you naturally gravitate towards? And again, not leading them in either one, but just painting the picture for them to decide. And if this is a cold calling, hunting new business role that you're hiring for, and they again go, yeah, I love the sort of account management, finding new deals and new pockets of money in existing clients, they're going to struggle probably in a in a purely new business hunting role. And some account managers will say that they are hunting new business, and they are, but they're hunting new business opportunities in existing accounts. And that's not the same as hunting new business in totally new accounts who don't know you, don't know the company, haven't expressed a will to buy whatever it is you're trying to sell them. You might be selling to mid-market, you might be selling to enterprise. It's cold calling. It's a completely different job to hunting new business in existing accounts. So I think you have to get very, very clear on as a sales leader, exactly what the requirements of the job are, and ask questions in a way that don't lead your candidate towards one or the other. And they can tell you where they're going to thrive. And if it's not a match to what you're hiring for, those are big red flags. And so there'll be 2 or 3 or 5 different key criteria that you'll need to ask around. And then you'll need to probe into those if there are any red flags that come up from the answers.